Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. Spurious DMCA strikes are certainly not a new topic on YouTube. It is painfully clear that legal reform of the DMCA absolutely needs to take place in order to better align with the internet of today as opposed to the internet of the mid-1990s. However, it's one thing when it's some asset flipper or dirty dev filing a DMCA in order to attempt to shut a YouTuber up. Those can be dealt with fairly easily, although there is usually no hope of legal recourse. However, this time we're dealing with a media corporation filing a DMCA takedown against a YouTuber over a parody video. As always, links to any sources used will be in the description down below, and I will of course provide the facts as I am currently aware of them to the best of my ability, and then I'll provide my opinion based upon the stated information. Now, around 4 months ago, give or take a couple of weeks, The Verge posted the video on your screen now in which they attempted to show you how to build a PC. The video was widely ridiculed due to the numerous and egregious errors made by the person building the PC, and the video was eventually pulled from YouTube by The Verge. The Verge's editor-in-chief, Nilay Patel, then released a statement in which they attempted to pass off the deplorable and outright incorrect information contained within the video as, quote, minor factual errors. Patel then went on to claim that there were internet harassment campaigns including, quote, hundreds of racist attacks being leveraged against the man building the PC in the video. Fast forward several months and we have the YouTuber Bitwit, a larger channel with 1.4 million subscribers. Bitwit released a reaction video titled Lyle Reacts to The Verge's PC Build video, in which he plays a character Bit, Lyle, a stereotypical Chinese person who corrected the fallacies within the original video and did so while making jokes and presenting everything in a comedic fashion. And real quick, my apologies for the resolution on this section. This is a download of a mirror that was only uploaded in 360p of the Lyle Reacts video, which when you factor in a 360p video that has been compressed by YouTube, downloaded, run through Adobe Premiere, and then compressed by YouTube again, I don't expect the results to be all that impressive. And then fast forward again to 11 p.m. last night when Kyle, aka Bitwit, posted the following to Twitter in which he stated and showed pictures verifying that Vox Media, the parent company of The Verge, had filed a DMCA takedown against Bitwit's video and that he had received a DMCA strike on his YouTube channel. Then, earlier today, Bitwit posted an update that he had submitted a counter notification and had reached out to his MCN full screen as well. Those are the basic facts as I am currently aware of them, but as part of my opinion on this, I also want to run through just how legitimate or not the DMCA strike against Bitwit actually is, and if The Verge even has a leg to stand on here. And of course, I do have to throw in a disclaimer that I am in no way a lawyer and I'm not certified to practice law, and as such, nothing I say here should be taken by anyone to constitute legal advice. I've heard that's a thing I should probably say in these circumstances. This is nothing more than a layman's opinion on legal consideration after all. Moving right along, I have had the opportunity to watch the 360p version of the Lyle Reacts video in its entirety in order to determine at a glance if this is likely a spurious DMCA strike or if it was perhaps legitimate. And as with all things fair use, you have to consider the 4 primary factors in determining the content falls under fair use exemption or not. As a refresher, those 4 factors are the purpose and character of your use, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion taken, and the effect of the use upon the potential market. Now, the purpose and character of your use is also what is known as the transformative factor, in which there are 2 primary considerations. Has the material you have taken from the original work been transformed by adding new expression or meaning, and was value added to the original by creating new information, new aesthetics, new insights, and understandings? Stanford.edu provides us with an example of parody in which it states that the original work is transformed by it being held up to ridicule. And as the Lyle character was openly mocking and ridiculing the original content in a humorous fashion, in my opinion, it would actually be far more difficult to prove that this wasn't a clear-cut case of parody fair use. The reason for that is the original material is transformed and significantly modified by the original with the addition of the comedic content, which meets the first consideration, and the parody also changes the aesthetics and offers new insights, which meets the criteria of the second consideration. So on that note, Bitwit firmly and easily meets the criteria of the first 4 factors, the purpose and character of your use. So let's move on to the second factor, the nature of the copyrighted work. Now, while the original content was so inaccurate that it very very nearly was a work of fiction in its own right, it was in fact an attempt at facts and information that benefit the public, which means that it is actually far easier for Bitwit to be able to claim fair use under that consideration as opposed to if it was a work of fiction. The third factor is the amount and substantiality of the portion taken. Now, in this, typically the general rule of thumb is less is more. However, that isn't always the case. And again, Stanford.edu provides us with a court case citation and a clarification that a parodist is permitted to borrow quite a bit from the original work, even the heart of the original work, which in this case was to incorrectly show people how to build a PC. Again, as this is a very clear-cut case of parody, it is allowed to take a substantial portion of the video, which Bitwit did here. The Lyle Reacts video is 9 minutes and 12 seconds in length, while the original video from The Verge was 11 minutes and 10 seconds. So while Bitwit did borrow substantially, he very obviously did not borrow all of the original video, which even if he did, as long as he maintained that parodic fashion throughout, it would most likely be acceptable. Then we have the fourth and final factor, the effect of the use on the potential market. Now, this is loosely described as being if the Bitwit video deprived The Verge of income or somehow managed to undermine a new or potential market for The Verge's original video. And again, parody follows a slightly different rule regarding this, as it is acknowledged that the parody can be, quote, so good that the public can never take the original work seriously again. And we're also given a quote from the judge of the Fisher v. Dees case in 1986, in which the judge stated, "The economic effect of a parody with which we are concerned is not its potential to destroy or diminish the market for the original. Any bad review can have that effect, but whether it fulfills the demand for the original." Now, as I've said, I've watched the Lyle Reacts video in its entirety. He mocks the video, engages in jokes and stereotypes, and points out everything that is very clearly wrong with The Verge's video. But nowhere in that video did Bitwit show people how to build a PC, so it very clearly does not fulfill the demand for the original, meaning he's not trying to do the same thing while using their content. So, taking all of that into consideration, The Verge were complete and utter morons for even considering filing a DMCA takedown against Bitwit's video. In my not-so-professional opinion, if I were Bitwit, I would be looking into suing Vox Media's collective asses off for this very clearly spurious takedown of a comedic parody. I can understand that they don't like examples of there being so completely idiotic out there on the internet, but this sort of thing is what kicks the Streisand effect into full force. Now, even more people will know just how badly they screwed up. My advice to Bitwit, get an attorney. I'm sure Leonard French would probably be quite willing if he's able to practice within the necessary jurisdiction, and sue them. A large media company should absolutely know better, and they frankly do not deserve a let bygones be bygones mentality. And as I always tend to do with videos of this nature, please do spread the word and make certain other creators are aware of what is happening here. I've reached out to Bitwit, but haven't received any sort of response, which is no surprise. He's probably quite busy today dealing with this nonsense. But if he does happen to see this, I would love to speak to him regarding this situation. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.